I'm Johan Rashi Vega, and here we are in our sound room at Court Plaza in our studios in Holyoke Media in Holyoke, Massachusetts. And I want to welcome Olena Flynn and Madison Palffy, who are part of this beautiful artistic collective, Loculus. And we are going to learn about the work you do and also an event that is going to take place soon here at Holyoke Media. So, Olena, Madison, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
So, what can you tell us about yourselves, the work you do, and how you came together to create Loculus?
Yeah. We went to Hampshire College together a while ago now.
Yeah.
We're both studying dance there and just kept dancing.
Yeah. We met in undergrad, and Loculus actually started as originally 6 people, I believe. And that was in 2015. So we're nearing our 8th birthday, and it has, for the past, I want to say 5-6 years now, it's been directed by Olena and I. Yeah.
And the initial idea behind Loculus was, like Madison said, 6 recent graduates, all who were dancers, being in this area where there's a really vibrant experimental music scene, experimental art scene, and also a very vibrant dance scene, but feeling like as young dancers, there wasn't space for us to perform and make as much work as we wanted to be making. So the 6 of us came together with the intention of curating events for ourselves that brought together interdisciplinary artists and kind of joined those experimental music, art, and dance scenes together.
Right. So wanting dance to really be in conversation with other art forms, whereas we often felt like, and still sometimes feel like, dancers are just talking to dancers, and that other people watch dance and are like, it's so beautiful, or I love watching dance, but I don't understand it. And we're always like, well, we're really doing very similar things, right? As a painter, as a musician, but our medium is different. So we wanted to bring dance in conversation with other artists. And then also long term, our project has really been thinking about what it means to be where we are right now, Holyoke, and also rural communities, and how do we continue to create dance and opportunities for dance outside of a large city like New York. And so often that is working in non-traditional spaces. We do perform in theaters, but oftentimes our shows are in bars or in a field on a farm or
somebody's living
room. So that's also part of our project of looking at where are we, what do we have, what's available, and rather than saying it's not enough, being like, this is great, and how do we use this, and how do we create magic right here?
Yeah.
Thinking about the spaces and the challenges with that, but at the same time, I think it's a perfect opportunity to learn even more how to utilize your skills, your talents, and to be even more creative than usual. Mm-hmm. Figuring out how to take advantage of specific dimensions, shapes, surrounding environment of places. So how these experiences have helped your process on creating your performances and your activities. What has been maybe some of those experiences that you feel they have been influential in your work?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think we've talked a lot about sort of context, right? Where dancers, contemporary dancers in particular, sort of postmodern dancers, rehearse in a studio most of the time and then go to a theater, and there's this very this idea of neutrality.
Right.
We're just going to be bodies in a space that doesn't have meaning. A theater is a neutral space to make meaning. And I think working in these alternative and non-traditional spaces has allowed us to think about, how do I choreograph in relationship to Madison, but also the table in front of me, my friend in the corner, the contextualizing our work inside of a social network, inside of a space, not thinking about those spaces as neutral,
but filled with history,
Yeah.
histories, which a theater is also, but it is more easily erased or not visible. I also think that working in this way has really influenced and changed our artistic practice in a way that I actually almost don't know how to create. Sometimes in a way, if I'm given unlimited resources and unlimited space, because, I think limitations really bring out your creativity. And this practice has definitely highlighted that over and over again. And also in the way that materials have really become important to us. Yes, dancing and the dancing body, but also using what's in the room. We often make our own sound, so we will use materials in the room to make sound, to generate sound. We will use objects as a part of our work, so we're really attuned to history and materials and how a body is not just contained, but all of our bodies are actually a part of different processes of histories of materials, and we're all situated in that, and to explore that kind of overlap and messiness.
And I think specifically the sort of the more DIY spaces that we came up in and continue to perform in, they're rooted in socialness, right? There's punk, the noise scene. Madison's gotten, really into house and hip hop, and so these social scenes, right? These art forms that are impossible without being in relation to other people, and bringing a more contemporary experimental dance form that doesn't usually exist there into those spaces, I think has been a real collision of things in a really amazing and expansive way.
Yeah.
Thinking about that mentioned you make Olena about Madison's affinity with house, and I see the parallel between creating space and making it part of your performance, similar to what happened with the house scene, utilizing equipment that otherwise was discarded or discontinued, and then in home studios and bedrooms and basements start creating sounds with elements that were not even designed for that purpose, and then a whole movement, a whole revolutionary music genre took over and created space and the background for many ways of performance. So how do you see your evolution since you began until now has grown from the point that you had the energy to come together and create, and what is happening today in 2023?
So we came together we were really young, had a lot of energy. Like we said, there was 6 of us. The other 4 are still dear friends who re-enter the collective at different times. Will perform with us again or contribute work. But Madison and I think we really narrowed in on a collaborative process. And as the other folks in the collective found other interests and different career paths, it became sort of our platform. We held onto it. We both left this area for a long time. I went to graduate school in California. Madison went to Colorado. And there was always this tether between us of even long distance, of continuing to collaborate, continuing to wanting to make work. And then we both ended up back here.
Well, we made the choice to come back here.
We didn't end up. We made the choice.
We both dearly love this area, and we have continued to keep Loculus Collective as our collaborative moniker when we could have just called it Madison and Olena, because we're both still interested in the original premise of what we started with, which is what you're saying really is how do we're interested in the edges and the peripheral and making things out of the discarded and the unused and highlighting them, and coming at that also from a rigorous sort of postmodern, modern dance background, and this sort of collision of those two interests that oftentimes feel at odds. as well as this idea of collective. It's still sometimes a challenge when making work, but I think we're both interested in the challenge of what does it mean to really put my ego aside and work collaboratively to question this idea of authorship and to, yeah, I'm going to pause there. I'm gathering my thoughts.
So we made the choice to both come back here, and I live in Holyoke. Holyoke felt like a space that was really rich, where there was a lot of people, maybe not all contemporary modern dancers, but a lot of people trying to forge ways of being here, of ways of making art, ways of putting on events across disciplines, across everything. And I think we were both really excited about being a part of it. So for the first time ever, we have our own space, which is on Race Street. And we live in the same place again. And so I think having our own space, being geographically close again, I feel like has just kind of exploded our energy. Like I feel like have more energy than we did in 2015 for making things. And a lot of that is about being rooted in a place that we're both really excited about.
Right. Yeah, definitely having our own physical space has changed a lot. And I think we're still continuing to figure out the vision of that space. But for right now, we're excited to have it as our home in terms of a place for us to make work as artists and to continuing to invite other artists in this sort of low-key way that artists are, and just having it really be a making space and keeping it not precious. And also making it a community space, so we don't just have dance there. We have films, we have poetry readings, we have artist talks to really activate that space. It feels important.
How much of this new space preserves the feeling or the essence of being in non-traditional spaces as you did before, but now knowing that it's your home?
Right.
Well, it has a not great floor. It doesn't have any air conditioning.
It's still
pretty
it feels
raw.
very
It's very
in
raw.
line
It's a
with-
very raw space, and we've had to build it ourselves.
Right.
We collected free dance floor from all of the people we know and have been taping it down over the past 2 weeks. We had to tear down some walls. It still feels very raw. It feels like something that we're making ourselves.
And through the help of community. We were laying on the floor that we put in a dance floor, and I was just talking to Olena, and I said, wow, it's amazing that this was all for free, and we just kind of gathered it piecemeal through scraps through our community. And then I said, I actually kind of like that it's a little not nice. It's a little banged up and old. It's been handed down from this person to that person to that person. It's been in their attic for a little bit. And I said, it's actually great that it's like that and not new that we just bought, because it has this history. We know that it's come from our community, but also we don't have to be precious about it. So if someone wants to come in and drag around a chair or
dance in stilettos
or put their amp on it,
it's fine.
I'm like, go ahead.
It already has holes in it. We can tape them up.
So it definitely is very raw, and in a way that's kind of nice, because when we invite people to the space, the people that are excited to be a part of this space, they're on board with that vibe and
no one wants
energy.
to do things in there who aren't on our same page. Also, location wise, I think that space has opened a lot of doors. The fact that it's walking distance from here, the fact that it's walking distance from Fame, which are the two locations for our Friday event. We're right in the center of what feels like is a really rich area. And
honestly, it feels like an arts hub more than like Northampton. The fact that we can walk down the stairs, Pulp is there. On
Mondays, Armor Yard is down there, and you can go meet a million
Gateway
people.
City Arts is right next to us. We had a show with the PVPA Dance Company here. It just feels like we're situated in the midst of a lot of activity in a way that doesn't always feel true sometimes in the valley.
An activity that's not codified.
Right.
Activity that's still figuring itself out.
Right.
Still figuring out how it relates to the other activity, how it relates to the activity in a place like Northampton that has a very codified art scene. is really exciting, and I think is totally in line with how we work.
Mm-hmm.
And this leads us for the event that you're going to be presenting here at Holyoke Media, which is part of series of multiple events happening in the region, in the valley. So tell us about it.
Yeah, so this is our second festival. The first one was actually 2 summers ago.
So we're calling it semi-annual.
Semi-annual. We couldn't do everything
We
by
can't
the
do
book.
everything all the time.
So this is part of a festival, our second festival, that celebrates multi-disciplinary performance, process, and practice. So artists working across multiple disciplines, but we're interested primarily in artists that are working from the body. So Friday we have a show here at Holyoke Media. We have 4 artists. They are L.A. Samuelson, Lila J. Franklin, Corinne Keithley Sires, and Leah Amelia. These are local and regional artists.
That show is, we'll start at 7 p.m. and it is, I would say it's the most dance-focused event of the weekend. Still people doing kind of out there stuff, but it is the most sit down, this is a dance performance kind of event.
And then we have an after party at Fame, which is in Holyoke, and we go there
all the time.
And we're really excited to have to partner with them, have an after party there.
Matt Crefting, who is a local DJ, he does all vinyl DJ sets. He works a lot with Genuine Culture, which is another Holyoke based organization, and dear friends. So he's doing an all vinyl dance party. The kitchen will be open a little bit later than normal, I think till 10, and the bar will be open all night. So come dance.
And then Saturday we have classes happening in our space on Ray Street. So we have the guest artist Lila J. Franklin, who will show work on Friday and then teach a class on Saturday
at 10 a.m.
At 10 a.m. And then we will be teaching a class, which will give you a little bit also of an insight into some of the practices that we use to generate material and performance. That is at 12:30.
And that one is super open level. Literally anybody is welcome.
I think both of them.
Both of them are.
Yeah.
I just can't speak for Lila.
And then Saturday in Northampton, so it's sort of traveling up the I-91. Saturday in Northampton at the Anchor House of Artists, we have another show. It's a bit more, I would say, more musicians, more sound. So we have
AJ Cornell, who is coming down from Portland, Maine, doing experimental, she calls it sonic massage. Long form sonic massage. Josie Bettman is coming from New York. We'll do a experimental dance movement based piece. Elsa Brown is a local
poet and performer. And then we are performing alongside Nat Baldwin, Jake Majinski, and Jen Jolino as a collaborative movement and sound performance. And then we have 3 videos that will be circulating throughout the night. One by Wendy Woodson, who is an Amherst College dance professor. Otis Wheeler, a local person, jack of all trades, really. Yes.
And Tyler Ray, who's a local Holyoke-based dance artist.
And then Sunday, finally, because we also, I guess we didn't really talk about this so much, but we our first year as a collective, we had a grant from the Northampton Cultural Council to produce a zine, a dance zine, and we've made a couple of different issues, and it went online during the pandemic, but
we have a long-standing interest in paper and print, and publishing,
and documenting sort of the ephemera of process. So we are partnering with Looky Here, which is in Greenfield, and that's a community art space. And Sarah Lanzalotta is going to be leading a workshop on the risograph machine, which is really fun and cool if you've never used one before. And she's going to be
we're going to be creating, it's almost going to be an exquisite corpse style flip book. So anybody can show up and create material to go in this flip book. It's family friendly, kids welcome.
So working on, everyone contributing to that. And I think it'll be really exciting and cool. Yeah. And then finally, we have our friend Jay Kiri, who is also a Holyoke resident and active in a lot of Holyoke stuff, who is also a poet who curated several poets sharing work. I think there's 6 of them. Yeah. And that's the weekend.
It's a big weekend.
What a perfect way to welcome the summer.
Yeah, I know.
And have a lot of different ways of expression throughout sculpture and performance, especially bringing the energy of multiple creatives in our region that takes over different spaces and adapts, as you have described during these years, is what you have been doing. So that same model continues, and especially for us here at Holyoke Media to have you as part of this tour to utilize this space and reimagine how a space like this can be utilized for your proposal, for your projects and your ideas. I think it's really exciting, and I hope also another way for you to continue that process of using spaces that, even as the studio, I think it's still on that same level of non-traditional.
Yes. Yeah.
It's probably the most, well, it has lights already in there and speakers already in there. So there's already some infrastructure, which isn't always true where we go. But yeah, it is.
It's still a TV studio. Most people would not say, oh, this is
a dance
space. But we heard about this space opening, and our missions are not exactly the same, but feel very aligned also in some way. So part of this is also, I think, relationship building. And so choosing where we are holding our events it's very intentional with places that we feel aligned with. Holyoke Media. And then also Anchor House of Artists is a visionary art museum. If you've never been in there, it's amazing. There's lots of amazing art that is kind of outside of this realm of codified art. And then Looky Here is a community art space, so it's also about saying we see you, we like what you're doing, and like let's be in a relationship. And that sounds very romantic, but
it is romantic. Yeah. No, there's a romantic part of it, right? Is creating sustainable relationships in the place where we live and make work is really important to us.
Yes.
So how can people get to know more about the work you do, especially if your space is hosting so many activities? How can people keep track of that, join, participate, collaborate, and of course to know more about the different things happening this weekend, beginning here on Holyoke Media this Friday, June 23rd?
You can go to our website, which is LOCULUScollective.com. And for all of the festival information, it is LOCULUScollective.com/festival. And that will take you to a full lineup of everything with links to tickets and stuff like that.
We're also on Instagram. If you search Loculus Collective, our website is the best place. And if you're interested in learning a bit more about the history of us, our process, and really everything that's going to go on at the studio, and again, the full lineup of the festival and where to purchase tickets, etc.
Perfect. Well, Olena, Madison from Loculus Collective talking about what is going to be the festival this weekend, beginning on Friday the 23rd here at Holyoke Media and continuing through different locations, including Northampton and all the way up to Greenfield. And anything else that you would like to add?
No, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.